We're joined now by Karl Reid and Erik Jones. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, first of all, some really important topics to talk about. What do institutions in engineering miss out by not prioritizing anti-racism?
Engineering thrives on innovation, on problem solving, but it also thrives on its diversity. So if we don't have everybody at the table, we're not solving the world's most complex problems, and we're not doing it well. And so engineering is hurt by not putting efforts into not just being non-racist, but to dismantling racist structures that have created these barriers for various groups.
The ability to actually communicate that message that not only does diversity is something that's important, it's something that actually we need to move the country forward. Right now, we need 55,000 engineers as we look at reshoring, like companies such as Intel and AMD. So at some point, we have to think about the strength that diversity brings and also how it actually builds our country.
And you guys both touched on this just a little bit, but how can engineering classrooms make sure and educators make sure that their classrooms are anti-racist? Erik, starting with you.
Oh, wow. That's the question of the decade. When you think about the classroom in engineering, the question is, as we're trying to teach those complex activities, what are the faculty, what are the historical underpinnings that have created that environment? Part of it is understanding the context of engineering, but also that how can we, at some level, make it more inclusive? So I think that, engineering has a unique place in that it's so complex. We could talk about the problems it solves for communities of color, and that makes it inclusive. And at some level, I think it's more of how to talk about it in such a way that communities care, as opposed to finding the reasons why there may be scenarios in which people can't succeed.
What Erik talked about reminds me of Daryl Pines in his keynote early part of this conference when he talked about the empathetic engineer, that human beings have to be at the center of engineering. Starting with that from a curricular standpoint, creating solutions and training future engineers to be human-centric is key.
And lastly, this is kind of a big question, but how would engineering and the world, society as a whole, look if anti-racism was a core value of what we do every day?
When we have diverse engineers, it defines the problems we pursue. So it expands the kind of problem. My wife is a physician, a liver specialist, and she's looking at healthcare disparities. She wouldn't be doing that, or other people wouldn't be doing that if she didn't have the lived experience she does.
I think the engineering community is a whole bunch of introverts, and a lot of times we bring our biases, whether it's international biases or domestic biases. I think that mentorship, communication, and also to the fact that, there's a return on investment for this diversity. And it's not just, I'm doing someone a favor. It's like, if we don't do this, we won't have the world that we need to live in the future.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having us.